Hello, everyone. Welcome to Seed Saving for Beginners. We're the UC Cooperative Extension Stanislaus County Master Gardener Program. My name is Ann Shellman. I have been the coordinator since 2018. So welcome. If you have never checked out our YouTube channel, we have lots of recordings of many topics. So please take a moment later to check out our YouTube channel and to subscribe and watch some of those videos. We are based in Stanislaus County, which is the Central Valley of California. We're about 100 miles south of Sacramento. So most things that we tell you in some of our videos will apply if you live nearby, and they might not if you don't. But tonight should be pretty safe, although I don't see anybody logging in from too far away. So a little bit about us. The Master Gardener Program is a statewide program that has existed since 1985 in all of the counties of California. And our goal is to extend research-based knowledge and information on home horticulture, pest management, and sustainable landscaping practices. And we'll tell you a little bit more at the end where you can contact your local Master Gardener. The important thing to know about Master Gardeners is that we don't know everything. We do know where to find science-based information. And if you ask us a question we don't know, we probably won't be able to sleep tonight until we find it out for you. So please keep that in mind. If for whatever reason we can't answer a question, you can type that in the chat, and then we will get back to you via email or phone call if you prefer. We are personally in Stanislaus County, so we may end up referring you to another county if you are in another area. So with that, I would like to turn this over to Heidi Aufdermauer. She has been a Master Gardener with our program since 2019.
Hi, thank you. Yes, so today we're going to talk about easy seeds to save for people who are just starting to learn how to do that. And we're going to talk about the benefits of saving the seeds. There's definitions about heirloom seeds versus hybrid seeds, which are important to know when you are saving seeds. Some seeds need more isolation from one to another. So that is also important when you're saving specific seeds. We'll talk a little bit about harvesting, when to harvest, and then storing them and how long you can store seeds. Each individual vegetable that we present tonight has a specific amount of time that you could store the seeds so that you don't have to plant, all the tomato seeds that you save every year. So it will depend on each individual seed and how long you can store those when you store them in a cool, dry place. Okay. So the benefits of saving seeds. When you save the seed for things that you are growing in your own garden, they adapt to the environment that they're grown in and the climate. So it's really beneficial rather than, buying seeds from back east, because then those seeds have been acclimated to their environment. So it's really beneficial as far as the seeds that you save here are going to be more adaptable to our growing season here. And then also, if anybody's noticed the inflation cost with seeds, saving seeds can help you save money so that you don't have to buy them every year or every 2 or 3 years, depending on how long you can save them. So you can spend more time spending money on other things in the garden instead of the seeds. And then also, if you do save your seeds, it's like I have this great big gigantic jar of chard seed. It's like I'm not going to plant all those chards, so you can share them with your friends and family.
I'm going to need some of those, Heidi.
Oh,
Heidi
yeah.
also shared some zinnia seeds with me, and I already have a bumper crop of zinnias ready to pick. So,
oh, nice.
Yes, being friends with a seed saver is a big plus.
So there is a difference between heirloom seeds and hybrid seeds, and we're going to talk about those right here. So an heirloom seed is the ones that you do want to save. they are actually reproduce the parent plant that is grown. Sometimes if you are saving a hybrid seed, because they've connected two kinds of seeds for specific reasons, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit with that, the hybrid does not produce, a seed that you save from a hybrid plant won't produce the same as the parent plant that you save the seed from. And so heirloom actually are seeds that have been passed down from generation to generation for at least 50 years or so. And probably one of the, even though the seeds that you save from heirloom seeds are acclimated to this area, they still don't have the protections against some certain diseases and things like that. So, oops, what happened? There we go. So the next one. So then hybrid seeds, like I said, they don't reproduce their parent plant because what they've done is they've taken two specific plants, crossed them together for specific characteristics of the plant that they want to grow. So like a hybrid will, if you've ever bought an actual hybrid plant at the store, the nursery, it will actually say that it has, you know, nematode protection or phytophthora protection or against a wilt or something like that. So those seeds from those plants will not be saved for those specific what am I trying to say?
So one thing I like to think about is once in a while, algebra makes sense. A plus B equals C. So you've got parent A and parent B gives you child C. But if you plant child C, you can't get child C again. You've got to have that cross every time.
Right.
And that is the only thing I learned in algebra.
And
that can be applied to real life.
You connected it to seed saving and
I did.
Plants.
Yeah. Wow. It only
so,
took a few years.
And then one thing about hybrid seed, and they even sell hybrid seeds also, what they you have to purchase them every year if you are starting your own seeds, own plants from the seeds that you buy. So
yeah. Okay.
So there's a cost to that too, you know.
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes they say, well, which is better, you know? And the Master Gardener specific answer is always, it depends. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Do you want the early girl? Do you want the very first tomato? My dad and I would always have a competition on who was going to harvest their first tomato of the season.
Love it.
But those seeds cannot be saved to produce another early girl next year. And then Mortgage Lifter is an heirloom that it actually, you can save those seeds because again, it's an heirloom. And, you know, their characteristics is this enormous juicy tomato, and those seeds can be saved. And so which one is better? Again, it depends on what you want. And a lot of people will plant both a hybrid and an heirloom, so that you can plant an early girl to get that first tomato, or an heirloom that will produce those great big gigantic ones towards the end of the season. Okay. So do we have any specific questions right now? I love this this picture. I found this, we were visiting some people in Missouri, and I found this, and I thought, oh, this is
great. Yes, yes. Except for when you're pulling spurge. That is not a wildflower, Heidi.
But they don't. Yeah, I don't ever. Have you ever seen any flowers on spurge?
No.
I know.
I wish it was a wildflower. We do have a question from Christy that you might be coming up to later. She wants to know, do you cover your heirloom seeds to keep them from cross-pollinating?
Well, that's the whole reason we're having this one, because these are all plants for this one for beginners who all the plants that we're going to be covering are self-pollinating.
Yeah, great question. Great
So-
question, and a good lead in to what you're going to talk about next.
Okay, and so there are no more questions? Okay.
Oh, no,
So-
that was it.
Okay, so the seed saving and pollination. So knowing which seeds you can save for so that they aren't cross-pollinated, we have to know which is better. So because there's lots of obviously vegetables and fruits that need the pollinators to help grow your crop. Some things need to be isolated by certain amounts of distance, but anything that needs, like here, the bee or any pollinator that help pollinate the plant itself is not an easy seed to save. It can be done. Obviously, they do it because you can buy these heirloom seeds that are going to grow true to what they have harvested from. But you want to, if you're just a beginner at saving seeds, the fruit, well, it's not fruit, it's all the vegetables that we're going to talk about today are all self-pollinating. So there isn't really too much to the cross-pollination part. Okay, so we call this vegetables that need their space, again, because they are pollinated by, the flower right there, by the bees and the pollinators. So these are all things that will need to have specific isolation. So we're not talking about any of these as far as saving seeds for tonight. But the ones that we are going to talk about are all of these, and they don't need their space because, again, that they are self-pollinating, which makes it really easy for a beginning seed saver. And do we have any other questions?
I don't see any questions. One thing that I know comes up sometimes is people will plant a crop and then they'll get something that looks weird and they'll think it was cross-pollinated. But actually, cross-pollination occurs and the end result is the seed, not some odd fruit that might have shown up in your garden. So hopefully that makes sense. But when the two parents cross to get the last thing that you want, you're saving the seed. So we can talk about that.
And then when if it has been cross-pollinated, the seed that you plant next year will not be.
Might be really weird. Yeah. I had that happen to me with some cantaloupe once, which was very disappointing because it takes a long time to grow cantaloupe.
So I have a little experience from last year that from my compost pile, I was using compost and putting it into my garden beds. And there were some squash that came up on their own. And so I just thought, well, let's see what happens. Let's see, what's going to grow here. And so a couple of them were actually okay. One of them was the most bitter squash you could have ever tasted in your life. And so it's like, pull that thing out and don't take up any more of my space here.
Yep.
And I had actually shared one of the squash with my neighbor, and she's still my friend. So
yes, that can happen. Well, Heidi, a couple questions popped up. Somebody mentioned showing the slides again and people are taking photos. I should have mentioned this at the very beginning, but everybody will get a copy of this PowerPoint sent to them. And then I'm also going to put it on one of our web pages where if you're watching this as a video later, you can upload or you can download that and print it out for yourself. But for the person who just asked if they could see the last two pages, why not take a look, take a picture. These are the teenage vegetables that need their space.
Well, and just remember, anything that needs, a pollinator to actually produce the fruit is the ones that's going to be able to be crossed.
So here's the other slide. And I can't believe somebody asked me to share the algebra formula again. I'm flattered. So essentially what we're saying is the difference between a hybrid and an heirloom seed is that a hybrid seed is parent A crossed with parent B to make this little child C. And so you plant that and you get a, plant that gives offspring with the characteristics of both of its parents. So say both of its parents, say one of its parents is really big tomato and the other parent is really juicy. And so that combines to make this great tomato. But if you take the child seeds out of that tomato and you plant them, what you get is not really going to necessarily be the same, because
C.
Yeah, it will not be itself again. It's like it can't reproduce itself.
It reverts back to one of the parent plants.
And then the heirloom ones are true. And I know in my first experiences with saving seeds and planting things, I really loved this tomato called Brandywine. And so one year, it was just a very strange year for tomatoes. I remember everybody's blossoms were falling off because it was like really cold at night. And then finally tomato season was over and I got 2 Brandywine tomatoes and I swore I will never grow this tomato again. I was so upset. Then I switched to some different hybrids. But then, like Heidi said, eventually I thought, okay, I better do some heirlooms, some hybrids, and then of course, some cherry tomatoes so I can get that, tiny tomato right away.
Well, and that's usually a characteristic of those big tomatoes. They will produce just a few towards the end of your growing season. So yeah, because they need all the energy to produce those great big gigantic tomatoes.
Yes, that makes
That's why a lot of people will plant the early girl along with it.
Yeah, that's, just what do they say? Cover all your bases. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Did we get all the questions? I think we're good. Heidi, let's move on.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the easy seeds to save because again, they are self-pollinating. So the common bean, you want to, when you are thinking about saving your bean seed, you want to let it dry out on the vine and then harvest it. If you do plan to grow more than one kind of common bean, then you need a little bit of spacing in between, 10 to 25 feet, depending on the variety. And then also for diversity, you want to have at least 10 plants growing in the same, in the same area, same kind of bean. And then these beans, again, depending on how many you harvest, you may not want to plant all of those ones that year. So they can last up to 4 years with correct storage, which is basically a cool, dry place. A lot of people will store their seeds in the refrigerator. I know some people actually even store them in the freezer. So again, you want to do all of these things to save the common bean.
Awesome. Are there any folks out there that are thinking about saving beans? I don't see any hands raised. Oh, 4. All right. Yay.
Hey.
Okay. Moving on to eggplant.
Okay. And then this was a fun photo I took of, these are 2 heirloom beans and the eggplant.
Ready.
I thought it was fun because they were both striped. It was a fun thing. But the eggplant, so again, you'd want to plant, if you have different kinds of eggplant, different parts of your garden, plant one kind of eggplant and another in a different part of your garden. So it says 300 feet apart, that's quite a bit of space. So hopefully you have that space in your yard. And then you basically want the eggplant fruit itself to sort of like rot on the vine. Basically, it's going to turn a yellowish brown. Has anybody ever had an eggplant stay on the vine too long and turn that yellow brown color?
5 people raise their hand.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and if you're saving these seeds, then you want to mash the pulp and the seeds and then place them in a bucket of water, and the good seeds are going to sink. You're going to stir it up really good and kind of separate the bad seed from the good seed. And those good seeds were going to sink down to the bottom because they'll have more density. And then you keep just rinsing out the water until it gets really clear, and then strain the seeds through some kind of a screen, and then dry them out up to 3 weeks. You want to let them dry it like on a paper plate or something. Just let them dry out really good, and then store them again, and they will last up to 3 to 6 years. So again, depending on, how they're stored, they can last quite a while, so that you don't have, because there's going to be a lot of seeds in the eggplant. So
Yeah, it seems like if you have limited space, you might think, well, this year, and I don't have 300 feet, so I'm just going to grow one kind of eggplant,
there you
and
go.
then I'll have a ton of seeds and I can save them for 3 to 6 years. And next year I'll grow this kind of eggplant and store those seeds. And
Yes,
yeah, next thing you know, you'll have your own seed bank.
that's right. And share them with your friends.
That's right.
Garlic is an amazing plant to grow.
It is.
It's not you're planting the little cloves themselves, so there's no worries about cross-pollinating or anything like that. So when you do grow your garlic, I'm sure, raise your hand if you have been growing garlic, because it's an amazing plant to grow.
We're up to 10 people. 12,
yeah,
13. Yeah, people
okay.
love garlic.
Yeah. There's you want to plant the largest of the cloves, because theory is that they will grow into the largest bulbs for the next year. And then you can save the largest of those for your next year's planting. And again, you can experiment and try different kinds of garlic. I know there's several kinds of garlic, and you can plant them close together and have lots of fun.
So Heidi, usually you harvest garlic in like April or May,
or even later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you want,
so you would wait
so when
later.
you harvest, when you harvest a garlic, you want, so these are baby garlic. This picture on the top here is pretty much a baby garlic, just starting out. But you want them to grow, and probably about 3 weeks, you would stop watering them, similar to what you would do with an onion. You would stop watering them and kind of let the green part die out before you actually harvest them from the soil.
And then it's amazing to think that this big bulb of garlic can hang on and hang around until fall. So you just really got to make sure you keep it in that dry place. Very cool. I haven't done that, so
yeah,
that's neat.
Lettuce. Oh, this is fun. Sometimes I think I just grow lettuce just to let it bolt and go, even though it looks like a weed in that top photo there. But if you let some of them bolt out into their, it takes a little while for them. So, if you're not interested in saving lettuce seeds because they're so abundant, because it can take up space for a while in your garden, and unless you want to, grow something else. But you want to let the little flower heads, so those little puffs, it looks like a little dandelion flower. You want that little puff to almost dry out just a little bit. But as you can see in the one of the photos there, in the bottom photo, you have little tufts or little flowers that haven't yet bloomed. And so again, the ones that are going to be ones that you want to save are the ones from with the little puffs of flowers that are coming up there. But you just cut your the whole thing out and throw it in a paper bag, and then let them dry out for probably a week or so, even more. And you can just kind of what do I want to say? Sort of like pinch each one of those little flowers, and then I don't know, we were on this little trip, and I found this, let's see, oh, there it is. I found this butterfly net in the garbage, actually, at this park, and I just grabbed it, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I realized
Repurposed it, Heidi.
I repurposed it. Yes,
it had some value.
Yeah, so it's just some of that toll netting. And if you could see in the top right-hand corner photo there, you can see the butterfly net there. And I just put all those seeds in there and then shake it out and kind of pinch them a little bit more. And you get all, there's a lot of seeds there. So again,
Yeah. I
they'll
know
last.
that I've gotten some seeds before from someone who hadn't really separated things, and it really didn't matter. I just
No, it doesn't.
really,
Yeah,
so if you can't get them perfectly
right.
separated, then
Yeah.
you're okay. How many people are going to grow their own salad greens? Get some arugula in there, some, uh, you know, different herbs and things. All right, we got about 12 people.
So okra has it has a beautiful flower. It's kind of in the hibiscus family, and the bees do like it. So if you are planning on saving okra seeds, you want to make sure that you possibly are just growing one kind of variety. And then so this top left-hand picture here is once you would let these pods dry out on the plant itself. And then right before they start to crack and open up, then that's when you would harvest them. And then again, throwing them into a paper bag for a few weeks. And then you just twist the pod and all the seeds come popping out. And again, they will last up to 3 years.
Heidi,
So,
what do you usually do with okra?
I've pickled it before, and I like to make gumbo. And so even though maybe it's harvested in the summer when you don't want to be eating soup, I will blanch it. I'll cut it up into small pieces and I'll blanch it, and then I'll throw it in the freezer and wait for my gumbo for the winter
Some
months.
people might not know what blanching is.
Oh, blanching is you boil some water, and then you put the cut up pieces of okra into the boiling water for, I don't know, 30 seconds, take it out, cool it off, and then you can
Helps it retain its color and everything.
Freeze it at that point.
Nice. All right. We got any people on here interested in okra? Gonna grow some okra? Oh, wow. Yes. Everybody on here is like, they're gonna have a big garden.
Yay.
All right.
And then peas again, self-pollinating. If you do want to grow more than one, 20 feet is the maximum amount of space that they would need if you're growing more than one. Again, just like the beans, you would let them dry out a bit on the plant itself, but make sure that so when you harvest the peas, they will pop open themselves if you wait too long.
Yeah,
so you want to get them right before they, they're dry, but they haven't split open yet. So again, allowing them to dry out more in a paper bag.
Nice.
And then they will pop themselves. You don't really have to do anything.
Awesome. I'm sure a lot of people like peas. All right.
So they last a long time, 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then peppers again are self-pollinating. But again, they have a little flower, so a bee could come and help you out a little bit if you want to make sure that you are planting for the isolation. Then again, 300 feet is the recommendation. Again, letting the plant or letting the fruit get really ripe on the plant itself before you harvest it. And then it's really easy to just, you just kind of open up the pod, the bottom left there photo. You just open it up and the seeds just come popping out.
Nice. So it doesn't matter if it's a bell pepper or a jalapeno pepper or a banana pepper.
No.
You're going to do them all the same.
Just as long as they're isolated if you are growing more than one kind.
I would imagine if you're doing jalapeno peppers, you might want to wear gloves.
I haven't had a problem with them once they're dried.
When it gets dry.
once they're
Oh,
dry.
good to know.
Yeah. All right, tomatoes. Okay.
Everybody's favorite.
Yes. So again, they do have a little bit of help with pollinating from bumblebees, but they, if it does get cross-pollinated, it's still going to grow a tomato. You may be developing a new variety of an heirloom. 15 to 50 feet. I know that's a big difference in isolation as far as 15 to 50 feet, but to ensure, knowing that you could plant one in your rose garden and then the rest in your vegetable garden or something like that. I have a little personal story to share. When I started raising or growing my own heirloom plants per se, but tomatoes for sure, I didn't know how many, when I was planting them in the late January, I didn't know in each cell how many would actually germinate. So I planted 3 or 4 little seeds in each little cell. And they pretty much all germinated. And I grew that. That was the very first year I planted my own tomatoes. And it's hard for me to thin. I don't really, I don't know. That's probably something that a lot of gardeners have trouble doing, is thinning.
It is.
And so I did not want to thin all of my little baby tomatoes.
You could hear them talking to you. No, Heidi,
I actually was able to transplant most of them and find enough of extra little cells that I could plant them in. And I grew about 450 tomatoes that very first year. And it was quite a crazy time.
Now you gave them away though, right?
I did. I took
Yes,
some.
a lot of them you gave away. Yes,
I was
I'm
still
sure.
teaching at the time, and so I took a bunch to school, and I gave some to my a lot to my family and to all my garden friends, and so most of them found homes, and then of course I planted quite a few in my yard too. So, there's a little extra process with tomatoes, because if you've ever noticed on a tomato seed, it has that little gelatinous cover on each of the seed. And so there's a fermenting process that has to happen with it. And it takes about 5 days of that fermenting. You would scoop out all the seeds from the tomato that you want to save, fill it up with a little in a jar, put it in a jar and fill it up with water, and then cover it so you don't have any extra bugs or anything going into it, because the fermentation process possibly could create an odor. And then after about 5 days, there's going to be a film that grows on top of your water. And that's when you pretty much know that your tomato seeds are ready to be harvested from that process. And you would just rinse out you would add more water. So that bottom picture there with the red cherry, the green zebra, you would add more water to that and just keep adding water and getting rid of the water until it's really clear. And again, just like the eggplant, the seeds that are going to be ones that you want to save are going to sink to the bottom of your jar. And then again, you want to let it grow or let it dry out on a paper plate or something for about 3 to 5 days or so. And then tomato seeds will last up to 5 years also. So, and if you, during the pandemic, we did a lot of YouTube presentations. And so there's a tomato seed saving presentation on our YouTube channel. So you can link onto that and watch the process again. Actually watch it happen, not just me talking about it. And then do we have any
questions? Let's see. Alex wants to know, when do you harvest the tomato from the plant? Is it when it's about to rot?
No, you don't have to wait for it to rot. You can actually do it when it's, like you're going to harvest it to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to wait for it to be rotten. Not like the eggplant or the pepper, you know. So you can harvest the seeds out of it and still use what's left, then the pulp and all that. You can use that in your garden or in your tomato sauce if you're going to make that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that a little bit.
Okay, I
Any other
think that was
questions?
it for questions so far.
All right, and then flowers. Flowers are pretty easy as far as saving the seeds, and because they're all so different, the cross-pollination doesn't really happen at all. But again, you want to, wait for the blossoms to dry out quite a bit before you actually harvest them. That's when the seed is more mature to be able to produce itself again. So we're going to talk about all these different kinds of flowers. Let's see. I was looking at Alex's chat. So there's, they're all annuals, obviously. Oh, obviously there's the title. So well, if you don't harvest the seeds of probably all of these, they will grow themselves later next year. They'll just hang out in the soil. And then when when it starts the soil starts warming up in the spring next year, you'll have more plants.
That's always nice.
It is, especially if you have a meadow or a natural garden. Okay, so the Bachelor button. So we have and growing at the same time, there's the seed pod and the flower itself. So you would harvest those little dried out looking flowers right there. And again, just putting them in a paper bag and letting them dry out a little bit longer. And then as you are ready to plant them again next spring, you just have to kind of pinch the seeds out, or not even, just throw the whole flower head in there and see what happens. That's kind of my theory about gardening most of the time with flowers. Throw it out there and see what happens.
Why not?
Calendula, again, a very easy plant to save the seeds from. And then the next photo is going to show you what happens when you don't deadhead or save the seeds. The next slide. So this is in my garden here that I didn't do any deadheading or anything in this area, and it's just like, it's like a meadow of calendula.
They've taken over.
Yeah. And then Coreopsis too, this is pretty much the same. It sort of pops up all over when I don't deadhead. And so again, if you want the plant to continue to bloom throughout the season, it's good again to deadhead. And then you're not going to have the problem of them, seeding themselves and coming up all over in the garden and having to deal with them later in another way. So, and then same thing with delphinium. Sometimes I will deadhead those and sometimes I don't. And then they just kind of seed themselves and they're all over the place.
Yeah, I gotta say, I had larkspur one year, and I don't think I'm gonna plant them again. Obviously, because they don't need my help.
Right.
But it was like a little out of control. And it's really interesting too, because when I first planted them, they were white, pink, and purple. And then the next year, again, I didn't replant them. It was just all purple, no white, and a pink here and there.
Oh.
And next year, who knows what'll happen. And actually, that has happened to me with sweet peas before too. I think there's some dominance for certain colors.
Right.
Insect.
And or maybe the purple was more able to just produce itself.
Prolific.
Yeah, prolific and stronger.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, some of these seeds I would think twice before planting them. That one for sure. Larkspur. I don't know about delphinium.
And hollyhocks, I know those are pretty easy to just kind of let them. Of course, when they get to this point here, when they're dried out and you if you do want to, clean up your garden, the seeds just fall out. And so now you've obviously planted a whole bunch without intention. And then marigolds, obviously. That's a fun one to deadhead and keep the seeds from. But again, you want to make sure that with marigolds that they are pretty well dried out for the seeds to mature, so that you can replant them. Because it's easy to deadhead a marigold and harvest it before the seed is actually mature enough to replant itself or to germinate for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then poppies, our California flower.
I still have some blooming in my garden, Heidi.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on this year.
Well, yeah.
Usually does not happen.
So this is the top picture is actually a picture of it before it's blooming. So I didn't get a photo of it. Can this?
Oh, I have. Yeah,
Can
we have
you
some
see
at work. We'll have to take a picture for that.
So can you see my arrow?
No, where are you trying to look? Right
Okay,
here?
so over on the other
Oh,
picture
here.
with the flower. Yeah, there's actually a seed head that is still green. So makes this little spike who, everybody's probably seen the seed pod of a poppy. And then the Iceland poppy is a fun one. Beautiful flower that doesn't cut well as far as bringing a bouquet into the house, but it sure provides lots of color in your yard. And then the seed head, somebody says, it looks like opium. It's like, well, that's a poppy. Yeah. And then the little hole. So you see that burst at the very top. And then underneath that, there's little holes. And that's where the hole is where the seed would come out. So you don't actually have to open up the poppy head itself, because all this, if it's dried out really well, yes, right in there, all of those seeds will just come pouring out from those little holes right there. So if you don't catch it in time, you've got poppies coming up all over the place. Zinnias, the same thing. So letting the seed head dry out on the plant itself before you harvest or
Zinnias have to be my #1 favorite flower. I mean,
yeah,
they cut well. There's so many different colors. There's different, there's some that have more of a daisy look. There's some that have more of a dahlia look. And they're just so cheerful. Yeah.
They can have big heads or small heads or
and they can be short, little,
Yes.
like, less than a foot, or they can get, really tall. There's something for everyone.
There is. Yes. So,
right.
we have any other questions?
Christy looks like she has a question. Do you get a second or third round of growth from your California poppies? I'm seeing new growth coming up from spent plants I didn't pull up. I'm wondering if I will have them in early and late fall if I leave them. That is a really good question, because I have a couple poppies like that right now. Like if I leave them, they didn't die. They're not crispy. I wonder if they'll make it.
Well, a lot of times I have, cleaned up the garden a little bit, and then the poppy root will actually stay in the ground and it will regrow itself. So it's maybe it's not really an annual then. It can be, perennial and grow more that way.
Yeah, it's interesting how some plants, like I known people who've kept pepper and eggplants over like another year round. Usually they get a little bit funky, but great question. Great question.
With those, really those kinds of plants, the tomatoes and peppers, they can be used over and over, saved from one year to another, because what kills them is our frost. If we get frost, if you're protecting them in some way, they can last. I had a friend who kept a pepper plant alive for like 4 years because it was protected under this big tree. And
wow.
So he, it looked pretty bad, but he was still getting peppers from it after 4 years.
That's cool. I like that. Let's see. Jessica wants to know, how long will annual seeds remain viable in a paper bag?
You probably want to plant them pretty much every year. Yeah, I don't really have information about how long they'll last, but again, if you're, storing them in a cool, dry place, and if you're gonna save a lot of them, then you can see what happens.
Yeah,
So
it seems like, did we put at the beginning how long annual seeds usually last?
no, we didn't.
Yeah, I
I,
think some of them it's a year or two. I guess it kind of depends.
yeah.
Okay.
But then again, it depends on, how many seeds you have. Like right now I have this great big gigantic box. Well, it's probably like a 12 by 12 box, and it's full of bachelor button seeds.
Ooh, I'm gonna
And
have to go
so,
look for some of those for our little work garden.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, they'll last until your friends are come over and scoop them out. Haha. Monique wants to know, can all seeds be stored in the freezer?
I would think so. Just as long as there's no moisture left with them. So if you have, those little silica packages or something like that, or you can store them so that any moisture from your freezer is going to be absorbed from those things.
I just typed that word into the chat, the silica. I think most people have seen those. You get pills or you get
Right.
some kind of grocery or something, and it comes with those little silica packets
Yes.
that are essentially sand or plastic. I'm not sure
Right.
exactly what they are. But we didn't talk about it during this presentation, but there is that big seed saving vault, Heidi,
In Norway.
in Norway.
And they
Where
actually
don't
keep them they're frozen to, like, I don't know,
Mhm.
below zero.
Yeah,
Um,
Google it and check it out if you're interested in learning more about seeds. It's kind of like the way the world is saving seeds to make sure, we have a backup plan for various seeds. So there must be a certain turnover time for them.
right. And I think they will uh test that some of that. They'll test
Mhm.
them on a rotation basis, and see if they're still, if they can still germinate, and then they'll grow them and then save seeds again.
Heidi, that would be a good slide to have on here as
That
well.
could be, yeah.
We should add that. So
Okay.
like, if again with some math, but not too hard, but say you have a ton of seeds, and so you put 10 of them in a wet paper towel
Oh,
in
for
a plastic bag for a couple days, and then you wait, and only 2 germinate. So it's like a 20% chance that you've got good seeds. But if 8 of them germinate, 80%, go ahead and plant
right.
or share them. It's a kind of a good thing to do.
That would be good to add to this.
Well, Christy mentioned many cities have seed libraries within their library system where members can take and add seeds monthly. And I have not been over there, but I do know in Stanislaus County that the Patterson Library has a seed library, which is kind of neat. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but maybe you take some, leave some. Do you know about that, Heidi?
That's the hope. I was talking to the librarian there, and she said that most people do not bring seeds back. It's kind of like, checking out a book. You're supposed to bring it back. They check out the
Not everybody
seed,
does that
and then
either.
they're supposed to bring the seeds back. But she said that hasn't really been happening because, they haven't really been following through with that. But that is the ultimate goal with having a seed bank in a library.
Right, right. Yeah, I wonder where they are getting those seeds.
I'm not really sure.
To find out, maybe we can help them out.
But again, saving heirloom seeds,
Mhm.
that's the
You'd
plan.
have to,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe just everybody could save one thing.
Right.
Let's see, do we have any other questions? Christy's in Pasadena, and they have monthly meetings where community members donate seeds that have been grown over 3 years. That's a
Nice.
good way to do it. Have a meeting and then kind of like swap things out. And then they probably have somebody kind of testing them once in a while. I wouldn't mind that job.
We have a small group in the town where I live, an heirloom garden club. So we share seeds in that respect.
That's nice too. Yeah, yeah, joining um a club is a great way to meet people and share seats. But okay, I don't see any more questions for the moment.
Hey, good luck.
So how do you want to wish everybody good luck?
Yes. Good luck with all of your seed saving experience.
I think a lot of people right now still have tomatoes and eggplant and okra and lots of
Beans.
other crops still going. And in
Ready to plant
closing,
garlic now. So
and some, yeah, it's already time to get started for your next garden project. So if you haven't, you can go on our YouTube channel and watch our fall vegetable gardening class and learn all about how to plant all of these different plants, vegetables. And we're getting lots of thank yous. But before people log off, I just want to encourage them to stay in touch. All of you will be getting an email asking you to verify your subscription to the Stanislaus Sprout. So if you would like to get our weekly newsletter, we have information on upcoming classes, just interesting things. Recently, we posted a blog article about the origins of the uses of native plants. And so the people who were here before all of us use these plants in specific ways that are really fascinating. And then we also have classes on other topics. One that I really thought was neat, if you're just an all-around nerd like some of us, is the one we did on bats with a bat specialist from Yolo County. That was fascinating. We have one on all about citrus trees. We have them on fruit trees. We have it all about California native plants and pollinators. So check those out. And then here is a picture of what our YouTube channel looks like. We're also on Instagram and we are on Facebook. And a week or so ago, I posted a video of a gopher that literally popped out of a hole a foot from where I was weeding, and it was crazy. It was really neat. So check out our Instagram, and people were putting captions. My favorite one was "Which way to Albuquerque?" because you know Bugs Bunny would always pop up in the wrong place and he would be lost. But yeah, the little gopher video is really cute. And then I'll send everybody a link. If you don't get that link, it is on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this video later, and you can go there to download copies of our presentation so you can follow along. I probably shouldn't have that there. If you're not from our area, don't call that number because we'll direct you somewhere else. But in 3 months, you will get an email survey from the statewide program. Please take it. Let us know how we did to help us grow the quality of our program. And that is it from us. So I'm going to say goodbye, but we're going to stay on and answer any other questions or chat with folks who may have other questions. All right. Actually, I'm going to edit that out later.
Oh,
I can't remember how to turn it off. We won't keep this part of the recording. And thank you. Lots of folks are saying thank you. We had a total of 51 people, Heidi, which is pretty good. Pretty cool. And so I think more people will be watching it later. And this honestly would be a really neat class to do in person. I know we did it in like 2019.
July. Well, we did it in the libraries in July.
Oh, but I'm thinking like, yeah, a workshop.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Thank you, from Imperial County. Very cool. First Master Gardener program.
Yay.
Sacramento might disagree with that. I've heard there's some, you know, but I don't know. We are actually the newest one here in Stanislaus. We only started our program in 2018.
There's looks like a question.
I think it was a thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess nobody has any gardening questions. All their plants have petered out. The heat has shriveled up everybody's squash and cucumbers. They've just given up the ghost. It's too much. The cherry tomatoes are still going strong. The eggplants always get a late start, so they're still going. But yeah, lots of thank yous from people. Thank you guys for tuning in and
thank
being
you.
here. Yeah, it's always exciting. Oh, Christy has milkweed going strong. Me
Ooh,
too. Me too. We
right.
do have some videos. We have one called Marvelous Monarchs that is a real treat. Lots of stuff all about butterflies and different pollinators. And Holly said, this is great. That she's saying we're good at this, Heidi, so we should keep
Oh,
going.
woo.
Okay, I'm going to take a clue from that. Let's see, what can I sign Heidi up with next? Yeah, I got thanks from Placer County. Well, it's kind of interesting. Actually, that would have been a good question at the beginning. Where are people logging in
Yeah.
from? Back when we used to Zoom on a very regular basis, which I don't necessarily miss, we would ask those questions. So, all right. Well, Heidi, thank you. And thanks for sharing all your knowledge. This was really good. Oh, we got San Diego and a brand new gardener, Devin. Thanks for tuning in, Devin. Best of luck. Connect with your San Diego master gardeners. Really nice group of folks. Yep. All right. And if you are local in Stanislaus County, we are doing California native plants at all of the local libraries next. So you'll be able to get a link to that in the description in the email. In fact, tonight, I think I'll probably send an email tonight so I don't forget with the PDF of the presentation and everything. Okay. All right, everybody. Good night. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.